Ed Bart is a senior research associate here at the Center for Urban Transportation Research. He's a specialist in transit vehicle procurement, performance, and maintenance. Ed serves as the program manager for both the Florida Transit Maintenance Analysis and Research Center and the Transit Research Inspection Program Procurement Services Program. He offers extensive experience in developing preventive maintenance programs, maintenance training programs, vehicle procurement processes, and quality assurance programs. Previously, he has served as the chair of the Florida Transit Maintenance Consortium, and prior professional positions include general manager of vehicle and facility maintenance for Hillsborough Area Regional Transit, or HART, in Tampa, as well as the director of maintenance for Volusia County, or Votran, in Daytona Beach. And with that, let me open up Ed's presentation and turn it over to you, Ed.
Okay, thanks much, Phil, and I want to thank Phil for that great introduction. I want to thank everybody who's attending today for attending. As Phil said, my name is Ed Bart. I work here at the Center for Urban Transportation Research, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about our Transit Technician Certification Program and some of the technologies that we are using to further that. I think before we get into that, though, I'd like to talk a little bit about the TMARC program itself, which is the Transit Maintenance Analysis and Resource Center. We are actually part of a group at Qatar, the Transit Technical and Training Assistance Group, and we're actually in partnership with Florida Department of Transportation. We've been doing transit training in the state of Florida since 1990, so this program is going on its 21st year. It is funded by FDOT. We do work closely with DOT. We don't consider them just a funding partner, but an actual partner in what we do because they are involved in everything that we do with this program. And we initially started as the Florida Maintenance Training Program, training transit technicians in the state. And as we progressed through that, the consortium, maintenance consortium, which is made up of the maintenance directors from around the state, we meet quarterly. And a few years back, they decided that we needed to start looking at some type of certification for our transit technicians. And not only certification, but gearing the training to the state of Florida and the vehicles we have in the state of Florida, and something a little more tailored to what's actually being done out there at our transit properties. Prior to the development of this program, we would contract a lot of that training out to the various entities, UTI, Nashville Auto Diesel College, and so forth. And the consensus of the consortium was that, you know, we wanted to get something a little more specific. We wanted to get some type of certification. We wanted to be assured that the people in the Panhandle, the technicians up there that were receiving the training, as well as the technicians in Key West, you know, north, south, east, and west, were getting the same quality of training and the same type of training that everybody else was getting. And so that's kind of the evolution of TMARC in the training program. We also do a variety of things. We don't just do training within the program. We host 3 listservs that can be accessed through the Qatar website. One is a local listserv for just our maintenance directors. It's kind of a closed listserv. And both Qatar and FDOT uses that to get information on various issues around the state within the transit arena. We also host the TRB's national listserv, and we also just started hosting the National Rail listserv. So if you have time out there, and if you're not already a member of those 2 national sites, you can certainly jump on the Qatar website and join those. We also maintain a statewide inventory of fixed route and paratransit properties around the state. And what this does is allow us, annually we go out and inventory the properties, and allows us to both identify what equipment we have in the state, and it also helps us tailor some of our training that is unrelated to the Certified Transit Technician Program to equipment that we know is around the state. And as I mentioned, we had gone through a series of training modes, over the years, and then in early 2000, we kind of recognized what everybody else around the industry was recognizing, and that was people just weren't coming into the transit industry, and specifically into the maintenance field like we had hoped they would. And so we looked at a couple of things, and three of the goals that we finally came up with was we needed to attract people to the industry. We needed to keep our incumbent technician skills current, because traditionally or habitually the transit agency has been well behind the private sector in technology. And so as there was a big push for technological advancement, and I think the bus manufacturers, the engine manufacturers, the component manufacturers jumped on board, and during that time, really started coming up with some catching up to the rest of the private sector in that area. And so we had technician skills. We had technicians in the field, and we recognized that their skills were needed to stay current and were becoming somewhat obsolete. So we looked at that as one of our goals. And the third goal was we wanted to retain those technicians, the good technicians that we have in transit that had a desire to rise into leadership positions, and we wanted to be able to offer them something to reach their goals. And interestingly, in 2010, APTA did a preliminary skills development and training needs report. You can actually find that and download that off the APTA website. And they said that there's several things, among other things, in their report that required immediate attention. And those are listed there. Supervisory and leadership training was needed due to the lack of these skill sets throughout all management and supervisory levels in the industry. And that, of course, is one of the goals and one of the things that we recognized early on. Actually, around this same time, for those in the maintenance field, you'll recognize that ASC also started coming up with a series of transit-specific tests. And so all this stuff was going on. ASC we knew would be 5, 6, 7 years down the road before they came up with a certification, but they did have the subject areas. And so when we looked at the training that we needed technically, we kind of looked at ASC and wanted to mirror some of that training on that. We also identified, as mentioned, the supervisory and leadership skills that were lacking, and we wanted to also put that in our Certified Transit Technician program. We knew our APTA recognized that workers were retiring, and we needed some way of developing the young talent to come in and replace those workers. And of course, they identified technical certification as being one of the areas that needed to be looked at. And so we were kind of pleased but not surprised when this report came out, because it was the same things that our Transit Maintenance Consortium in the state of Florida had recognized previously. And so as we started to create the program, and you'll see a little later, there's justifications that we had to provide to able to kick this off and to get the state support on it. And so we looked at jobs outlook both at the national level and a little closer to home in Florida. And as you can see the numbers, now these numbers are the latest within 2 months of what's posted out there. And important to note, both is the job openings due to growth and replacement, but also the openings that are due to separations. And so that kind of confirms what the studies have reported, and that is we have people getting out of the industry, and we're looking at ways to fill that. Specifically, if you look at the top table, the most significant source of education and training for these jobs that need to be added is a post-secondary vocational award. And so when we looked at that, and we looked at the different ways, and there are several ways, as you know, to train technicians, we decided that a post-secondary certification is something we might be interested in. And so we started to pursue that within the framework that the Florida educational system offers. Now, we've listed, shown on this slide is also the automotive service technicians and mechanics, and we listed those as justification, sort of our competition. And so when we're going after, if you look at the bottom table in Florida, and this is from the Agency for Workforce, Innovation, that we're looking at 357 jobs annually, just in bus and truck mechanics and diesel engine specialists, and another 1,500 annually on the automotive service side. And so that's kind of our direct competition to get, fresh, good talent into the industry. And so in developing our program and looking at what, what is technical training and how that's going to work for us, the most obvious thing in all the literature is it must align with the job requirements at work sites in order to be effective. So this kind of goes back to when we were farming out the training early on in this program's history, and that is, we don't need instruction on wedge brakes, let's say, if nobody's got wedge brakes. And so as the program has evolved, we wanted to make sure that we were tailoring those instructional modules toward what our technicians were actually doing at the work sites. And so we did investigate the post-secondary adult vocational, or PSAV, curriculum. And the one reason that we looked at those is because the frameworks are aligned to the 16 recommended career clusters that are defined by the U.S. Department of Education. And these career clusters enable states to establish linkages among state educational agencies, businesses, and other stakeholders. And we knew with a program of this size and this ambitious, because we wanted it to be a statewide program, we didn't want it to be regional or local, but we knew that we had to have other stakeholders involved and a way of reaching out to those stakeholders. And so the CTT-PSAV program is designed on this model, and it's now part of the Transportation, Distribution, and Logistics Career Cluster for the state of Florida. And this is one of the 16 career clusters that have been identified at the national level as being a career cluster for technical education. And we chose this method of instruction to allow the PSAV to incorporate instructional strategies and methods that improve students' personal qualities and higher order thinking skills in addition to their technical expertise. And this is one of the things that was very high on the list of the consortium was, yes, they need technical training. Yes, we want to provide the skills training to have technicians do well on the shop floor and turn those buses around and get them back on the street. But we also wanted to look at other qualities that a good technician would bring to the table, so that when he gets done with the training, he's an asset not only technically to the property that he's working at, but in other areas as well. And so these curriculum frameworks are designed to prepare students from the successful transition from high school to post-secondary education and for employment in a career area or both. And as we've designed these and worked through the Florida Department of Education, they've actually got two different numbers assigned to our curriculum, because it can be given to students that are in high school, the 11th and 12th grade, and they can actually get high school credit for the courses that we deliver. We're not there yet, but we have the framework in place to be able to do that. One of the part of the PSAV program, and one thing that's mandatory that's included in there, is the SCANS competencies. And actually, SCANS is the U.S. Departments, both the U.S. Departments of Labor and Education, the secretaries, form the Commission on Achieving Necessary Skills, or SCANS, to study the kinds of competencies and skills that workers must have to succeed in today's workforce. And so each of the modules within the PSAV program incorporates some of these strategies. Not all modules on all of them, but several on each module. And so when they're done with the curriculum, not only are they technically competent, but we've addressed, time management, personal hygiene, self-control, how to deal with criticism and build relationships, and how to work in an environment that is going to be a benefit to both themselves and the agency. And so we've got a great instructor, and Todd Parsons, who runs the program for us, who actually instructs the program for us. And he always drills in to the technicians in every class that he meets with, the strategies that are involved or that are mandated in the program. And so you can go down there and kind of look at it, quality of work, work hours, being on time, being on schedule. And we do on the back end of the program, and you'll see that later on in the slide, have a way of measuring that. He looks at time management, personal hygiene, and of course driving records, drug-free workplace, and industry policies. These necessary skills are espoused in every training that we have, and the technicians that attend our training, we hold them to a high standard, and we think they enjoy that actually. So we had to build a partnership, and one of the things we looked at early on in developing the program, with the guidance of both FDOT and our consortium members, was we looked at how we would select these students, how they would come and get trained, where they would get trained, and throughout those discussions, we decided at that point to kick it up to the state level and actually go and get involved in this post-secondary adult vocation, or PSAV program. And what that allows us to do, once it becomes a PSAV program, is allows it to become a certified PSAV program, which means that any community college around the state of Florida can offer that program. And it also allows for an articulation agreement, what the state of Florida calls an articulation agreement, which will take that technical training once they get certified and get the PSAV certification, and turn that into 33 college credit hours towards a 60-year, 2-year degree. And so one of the first things we did was kick it up to the Florida Department of Education and have their board approve it as a PSAV program. And it does several things. One, what I talked about earlier on the articulation agreement, and importantly, what it does is takes us out of the selection process as far as who attends our class. We're pro-training and not pro-management, not pro-union. We're pro-training, and so we kick that down to the agencies to allow them to go through the selection process based on whatever criteria they want. We tell them how many slots or seats we have in the program, and then they provide the technicians to us. So it kind of removed us from that process. It also allowed us, of course, to offer it as a PSAV program. On the academic side, or academia, we've got the University of South Florida and Hillsborough Community College. Now, when we put this together, there were several agreements that had to be put into place. Of course, Florida Department of Education, they had to approve it as a PSAV, and you'll see later on the website that they did approve it, and they posted it up on their website as a PSAV. Then we needed a place to actually get somebody to issue the PSAV, or the Post-Secondary Adult Vocational Program certification, and that's got to be done from a community college. And so naturally, since we're in Hillsborough County in Florida, we approached Hillsborough Community College and worked with them on several agreements, because our technicians actually become community college students as they go through the program. And so although they're working at their property around the state, when they come to meet with us and train in Pinellas, they're actually community college students, and they've got to go through the same process as any student would apply to the community college and get accepted to the community college. We give them a test of basic skills to make sure that they're going to be able to go through our classes and absorb the information. And Hillsborough Community College was gracious enough to work with us on agreements such as off-site training. We had to sign an agreement with the community college to get that done, because, again, they are community college students, but we're training them off the campus. We had to get businesses involved because we needed funding. These are community college students, and there's tuition involved. And so we approached the Florida Public Transit Association with the idea, and they've always been big backers of the program and big backers of all things transit in the state of Florida. And they agreed to put up the first of the monies for the first class to go through this as scholarships. And so we had 15 students. The actual complete course of 15 modules is about $4,200 a student. And so they gave us the money to start that first class through. Of course, we, as mentioned previously, the ASE started their series of transit-specific tests. And so we worked with ASE to a limited degree to get the books and the study materials for that piece of the curriculum. And you'll see as we go through that, part of going through the program, not only do you get a PSAV certification as being a certified transit technician from Hillsborough Community College when you're done, but you also become ASE Master Certified. And we put that in there because that was one of the issues that the consortium came up with. They would like to see, people excel in the ASE piece of it. Many of the properties reward ASE testing monetarily in their contracts, and so that was a driver in putting the ASE certification in the program as well. We work with Cummins, as you know, in the transit business. Cummins is about the only game in town as far as engines go. We have the state, which is not related to this program, but the FPTA has a state contract. We're probably in the 14th year of a consortium contract, and so with Gillig, which most of the buses now in the state of Florida, I'll say most of them, are Gilligs. And they have Cummins engines in them. So we figured that was a kind of a no-brainer to work with Cummins to get the software, to get the testing capabilities. And they actually made us a workforce provider, what they call a workforce provider, which allows us to get training materials and get some software free of charge to provide to these technicians. And then we worked with an agency called Pixel Yard Productions that is doing some 3D modeling for us, and you'll see that a little bit later. And we brought them on board. And of course, the transit agencies, we've had to sign agreements with PSTA in Pinellas to use their facility to actually give the instruction. We also use Volusia County Transit. They've got another regional training center that DOT has built in Daytona Beach. And so the two regional training centers that we use are one at PSTA and one at Volusia County. And then we worked with, of course, the participating agencies. And so, again, we kind of took ourselves out of the selection process. We told the agencies, look, we've got this program. We've got 15 people that want to come through it. Let us know or go through your selection process and give us the technicians that you would like in the program. And so the initial class of 15 represented 8 properties from West Palm Beach on the east coast of Florida and Miami down south to Lakeland in the center. We've got Gainesville, a little north of Orlando. We've got, of course, Tampa. PSTA has 4 technicians in it. And as far down south as Scat and Sarasota. So we have a pretty good representation of the state. And that's kind of what we were looking at for this inaugural class because, of course, it was new to us. The whole process was new. And we wanted to see if we could pull off this state training. And so far, it's working out pretty good. This is just a screenshot of the Florida Department of Education website. Kind of shows the Transportation Distribution and Logistics Career Cluster Curriculum Framework area. And if you went to the Florida Department of Education website and drilled down through there, you would be able to see our curriculum frameworks up there. Here's a quick shot of it. We're listed as Transit Technician 1, 2, and 3. We've got, actually, it's a 3-part or a 3-track curriculum, where there's 5 classes or 5 subject areas in each one of the tracks, and so it's a total of 15 modules. Quick program overview of the Certified Transit Technician program. Is a mix of classroom and hands-on training because that's what people wanted. It's 15 courses or 15 subject areas. The technicians are community college students. We're going to have Hillsborough Community College, and actually any community college who wants to articulate this, award 33 college credit hours for technical training. And we have the state and national certifications when they're done. Here's a typical course, 120 hours. It has both a mix of classroom, on the job, and ASE testing. Usually the classroom is a 40-hour class. We bring them to PSTA here in Pinellas and give them those 40 hours. And then they'll get a pre and a post test. And then they go back to their properties and they complete the remainder of those 120 hours for that module as OJT. And we've identified mentors and supervisors at the properties that help with this. We have OJT documentation forms and task lists because we want everybody, although the OJT won't be the same for everybody, obviously, because, you know, different supervisors do different things, we will have them hit the same type of, same task at all the different properties. And then we schedule the ASE based on the classes that we give, and we schedule that twice annually when ASE does that testing. They must pass that pass to exit the module. Here's just a quick look at the course syllabus in one of the workbooks. Since they are college students, we give them a course syllabus with the expectations on it, and of course we give them a workbook, or student workbook, per module. And so here's just a quick look at some of the things that we look at as the first class has gone through. And I'll just do this real quick. This is a snapshot of the pre and post test. This is on preventive maintenance, and these are just descriptive statistics, no grade analysis in it. The percent knowledge increase is a basic equation on, you know, questions they got right versus ones they missed. But we'll look at, let's say, the standard deviation. We can see it was, you know, they were all over the map doing the pre-test. During the post-test, it got a little tighter. And so that, you know, that tells us that they're learning and they're getting the, you know, the same questions right. And we could assume by this that, you know, it was a fairly good increase in knowledge. The range has shortened up, so they're a little closer to the mean. And that means people are learning. And this snapshot of transit basic electrical, not so much. And so this allows Todd, the instructor, to kind of look at that. You know, maybe they weren't getting the information as well. Maybe some of the questions were less than ideal, but it allows us just kind of look at things and look how we present and look at the curriculum and go back over some of the stuff we were delivering. Transit diesel engine PM. Again, this one, not a whole lot of people passed this test. There was a reason for that. We intentionally, at this point, this is the third class that we provided, changed around the post-test, pre and post-test, to be more of an ASE format. So they would get used to not only getting the technical training, but to, you know, use their mind a little bit and think. And so we got a lot of grief off of this one, actually, when people didn't do as well as they could, but that allowed us, you can see there's only like a 3% gain in knowledge, but what it did was allow us to then go into some of the questions and try to explain some of the theories that we were trying to teach, not necessarily giving them the answer to everything, but kind of expanding their thought process a little bit. And this is just an example. A loud knocking sound that's half the engine speed might be created by, well, you go through there, and really the answer is the camshaft, since the crankshaft turns twice, you know, for every time the cam turns. But it's questions like this that they missed, and we try to get them to understand how the engine works and you know, how everything's connected, why the turbocharger is you know, not a good answer, why the crankshaft out of balance is not a good answer because that engine speed. Same with connecting rod, it's connected to the crankshaft, that is engine speed. And so there's really only one good answer, and we go through these and allows us to both tailor, kind of measure where they're at in their thought process and improve our curriculum a little bit. Here's a copy of the OJT documentation form. It's critical for us to keep good records. It's critical for us to be able to justify giving those OJT hours and certifying those OJT hours, because when we go for the articulation agreement, the community college wants to ensure that we're just not they're just not giving college credit away, that people have actually earned that college credit. And so we have these are downloadable off the web. Their supervisors fill in the work order number, the date the service work was performed, time in, time out, and total hours. And so we track that online. They send, these supervisors send these back to us. We update their account online to our TMARC website, and then students kind of know where they stand as they progress through the program. Here's just a quick look at a couple of learning objectives, our task list. And so, again, we know that not every agency is going to train OJT the way, you know, like everybody else is going to do it, but they are going to go through and learn the same objectives. And this allows us to kind of make sure that everybody's on the same sheet of music. Here's a screenshot of our website, the TMARC website, where the student can actually go in, log in, see how many hours he's got completed, download the hands-on forms and the task list and different assignments that we give them during the course of instruction. ASC testing, again, is done twice annually. We register them at the place closest to where they work, and we pay for that testing. And we provide program study guides and kind of get them on board before they go get tested, and then we'll retest when necessary. Now, I'm just going to run through real quick, again, some of the classes. This is our 810 Transit Equipment Preventive Maintenance. We thought it was important to be the lead class. Some people will dispute that, but you know, that's kind of what the committee has gone with. And not only do we teach preventive maintenance on buses and forklifts and the typical preventive maintenance class, but we introduce the student to general shop safety. CPR and AED is taught there, and they get certified on that. MSDS is taught during this class, as well as bloodborne pathogens, FMVS 121, the air brake system, or air brake rules, hardwares and fasteners, and so forth. But on each of these slides I'm about to show you, the bottom task is part of the SCAN's competencies. And so, you know, one of those is methods, you know, you should teach, or you need to teach methods that require students to identify, organize, and use resources appropriately. And so those are interwoven into all our modules. Basic electrical, not only do we teach troubleshooting, but we also use ATEC boxes and have students build their own circuits. And so they get a kind of a sense of, you know, how the circuits work. Of course, we go over Ohm's law, you know, the different types of circuits, AC/DC current, and we incorporate methods to improve students' personal qualities and higher order thinking skills. Wheelchair, lift, and ramp. Of course, we go through all the lifts and the ramps, and allows us to work with the students on their workplace communication skills. And then we have sort of a round robin on diesel engine preventive maintenance, where they'll go, you know, engine to engine, doing the valve adjustments and different things, and demonstrate the qualifications for employment. We also have guest instructors from time to time. In this one on steering and suspension, we brought in a Hunter rep using state-of-the-art Hunter equipment for alignments and such. And this allows, and also teach, understand social, organizational, and technological systems. So that's a piece of it. And then hands-on troubleshooting on the transit hydraulics. We know that there's not a whole lot of hydraulic systems on a standard transit bus, but we go into the concepts of it, basic hydraulics, you know, Pascal's law, the cleanliness code for particulate contamination and such. And it allows us to work with the students and have them work with each other cooperatively and productively. We were fortunate enough to get funding from DOT to increase the items that we had and to make our the experience in the classroom, one that was state of the art. So we have some plasma screens when we go into troubleshooting with the Insight software, and we have a lot of things that improve the quality of training that we give. One of the technological improvements that we use is something called Mentor 3D through PixelYard that we talked about earlier. But what it allows us to do is do some pre- and post-classroom instruction. We set it up as a self-paced distance learning as well as training in the classroom. This system both integrates training and testing, and it helps those students develop test-taking strategies. I'll just run down through here real quick and won't spend a lot of time. This is actually, when the students are using it, it's in 3D. All the images can be turned in 3D. The thin spin, you can look at it from any angle. It actually, there's actually voiceover, or voice that describes what you're looking at on the top left there under rotor assembly. It allows for quick sets, which means the instructor can put in anything he wants as a picture as the students are going through this. There's a testing component when the modules are done. So he'll go through, let's say, this alternator component class that may be 20 minutes at their pace, and then we'll test them. And we can set up the testing to, if they get one question wrong, they fail. We can set it up for 2 questions or set it up for 3 questions, which will allow them to continue through the test even if they miss one. If they do miss something, it kicks them back into the module in the area to review what question they just missed. So far, we have worked with PixelYard on just one, the basic electric. We're going to use it more as an extension of the classroom to allow further post-testing at their properties during the OJT piece, and also to allow them to, new classes as they come through, to kind of get a basic understanding of how things work prior to coming to that classroom instruction. Challenges, force innovation, and the challenges that we had was we only had them for 40 hours of a 120-hour class. And so how do we monitor that? How do we make sure that, the other 80 hours of the 120 hours are being done, the way we want to? Of course, we introduced the OJT documentation form and some of those other things, but we wanted to extend the instructor's reach. We wanted to have a way to monitor hands-on training. We wanted to train areas that may need more instructor time based on our analysis of those, general descriptive statistics. And of course, some technicians, the shop lacks the necessary equipment to continue that OJT. And so what we came up with was something called virtual hands-on training. And it allows us to monitor hands-on at a distance. It ensures equipment availability. It extends the instructor's reach and really has unlimited troubleshooting scenarios. And basically what it is we will have a live bus and put a fault in a live bus at our shop at PSTA. And then we will bring up the Cummins Insight software within the live meeting software. And we will actually, at that point, when we get our students on the line, and we've done this from people in West Palm all the way down to Miami, where we're actually have a bus sitting in Pinellas up here and have them troubleshoot that bus from the location where they're at. And so it's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. It's the first that I know of that allows actually a student to sit in his shop a couple hundred miles away, diagnose a bus, and actually make the repair. And the way we do it is we bring up the Cummins software within the live meeting software, and then we turn control over to the student. And he is online, and he's also on voice to the conference call. And so we can monitor what he's doing, and we can give him advice, and we allow him to go through here. In this case, you can see those familiar with the Cummins software, we bring it up. We have him connect. You can see in this shot he's connected to the software. Now this is connected to a bus that we have live in a bay a couple hundred miles from his location. And what he'll do is he'll go in and get the fault code. In this case, the 0145 is active. We'll watch him troubleshoot down through there and look at the code, look at the reason, look at the effect. And we will help him go through the engine service information or the service module in QuickServe Online. And so we bring up the come-in software for him, and then we have him bring up QuickServe Online where he's at and kind of go through and troubleshoot the system itself. And so he'll walk through, and if he's having problems, we'll walk him through this troubleshooting process. In this case, fault code 145, he'll hit it on the left. He'll go down through, and it'll tell him to inspect engine coolant temperature, sensor, and connector pins. And then what we do is have, at our end, we have, of course, a web camera that will walk out to the bus, and he'll tell us what he wants to look at, and so we'll bring that up and allow him to look at that connection. And he'll work his way through the troubleshooting system and identify through the QuickServe software, the troubleshooting software, what is wrong with the bus. And we've actually done this for this sensor. We put a bad sensor in, they got the code. We've had students go through and correctly troubleshoot it, and then we send them back to QuickServe Online and watch as they go through and identify what the component is and what the reorder number is. He'll tell us to reorder one of those sensors. We'll get it. He'll tell us to install it. We'll walk there and install it, and then he'll run the check again and go ahead and actually make the repair on the bus. And we've done several of those with really great success. And when you think about it, it could be somebody up in South Dakota troubleshooting a bus down here in Florida the same way over the internet. And it's worked really well for us. It's kind of the state of the art for us. The technicians like it. But more than just being something that's really cool, what it allows us to do is watch their thought process as they go through that OJT piece and troubleshoot the buses. And so we can give them guidance. We can find out what, kind of look at it, find out what they're thinking, and guide them. And of course, anything both on QuickServe Online and Cummins Insight, where they're available to answer questions for them. So it's really worked great for us. And so any program, as mentioned earlier in this webcast, there's a lot of ways to train transit technicians, and many people will tell you theirs is the best, and they may think it's the best, and no one really can say it isn't. But we wanted to make sure we were doing the right things, and so we contracted with somebody else to come in and do a program evaluation on the first class that came through. And so here's some of the ways that this evaluating entity is going to measure this program. They look at performance measurement. They assess what the program actually looked like during the first phase. And then they're going to give us a summary of development, purpose, and administration of the program after our first phase is through. How we select participants, class schedule, coordination with program partners, and the like. And at the end, there's going to be recommended measures, and they are outcome-based. They're going to establish best practices for this program, and they're going to focus on efficiency and effectiveness in 4 areas. The classroom hands-on piece, which we have 40 hours of for each module. The curriculum, which is developed in concert with SMEs from around the state, not just us. The instructor, of course, how Todd's doing, and the on-the-job training component. And so an objective would be a target for acceptable performance is identified for each measure of performance and is based on the current program goals. Recommended performance measures and management objectives are presented in Table 1. And here's an example of what they will be looking at. But, the classroom, curriculum, instructor, and on-the-job is what we just mentioned earlier. And here's some of the performance measures and the detail that will be looked at, as we progress through the program. Things such as level of learning, does the course meet expectations, quality of presentations, quality of repairs at their facility, and you'll see how we capture that in a minute, OJT hours, technical ability based on the ASE exam, etc. We'll also look at operating indicators, and unlike performance measures, which are outcome-based, these operating indicators represent actual outputs. And so, they reflect trends in performance over time. How many comebacks did they have? The quality of work that they produced. And we will track the number of repeats, comebacks, and failures. The actual change in the number of repeats fails to measure performance. As we said, these are operating indicators. They're not performance measures, but they do provide meaningful information about the program, and that kind of supplements the performance measures in the evaluating process. Some of those recommended operating indicators are listed here. Students we enroll, people who left the program, number of agencies in the program, number of repairs scheduled. All this is done at the property, and we get all this information from the property where these students are at. Number of VHOT tests that are completed, and we've got a number of those. And if they provided any, shared any knowledge once they got to the property. So the evaluation will be a detailed review of operating indicators. We'll compare post-participant survey results. We'll discuss planned improvements moving forward. And it'll be a general overview of the program presented as a summary of findings. And here's just a quick look at some of the questions we ask on the survey, both pre and post. To kind of get a sense of, who we have in class and, what their goals are and what their expectations of the program are. And finally, I'm pleased to say that we have been finally nationally recognized. We started this out as a state program, but we thought it was a great module to boast, or a great program to train our technicians, give them credit for, college credit for the training they're getting on the shop floor, and, prepare our technicians for supervisory positions by allowing them to, get that college credit and move on to get, an associate's degree in industrial management is what it's going to turn out to be. And so early this year, we applied through FDOT for a workforce innovation grant. And recently it was awarded to us. And here's just some excerpts from the FTA website that actually announced the award to us. And so 35 people applied for that. 12 programs were selected. Ours was one of the ones selected for the Innovative Workforce Development Grant. And that little blurb, the last blurb on this slide, is actually what's listed on the website and what this extra money is going to allow us to do. And it will actually allow us to get another class in and to do some of the work that we've talked about on improving the program. And of course, you can like us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Transit Technician Education Program. You can go there. I'll tell you, we found out that, yes, some students will read email a few days after you send it to them, but if you post something up on a social website, they'll get it right away because they're always checking it. So we have our schedules up there. We have communications through there and let them know what's going on. We've got pictures of the prior classes, a lot of class info, and much more. And so I appreciate your time. If you have any specific questions about the program and how we put that thing together, you can ask now, or you can send me an email, and I can certainly send the answer to you and talk a little bit about the program. But thanks again, and that's all I have.
All right, thanks, Ed. We've got a couple questions actually to kind of get started.
Okay.
What's the cost of the program to technicians?
The cost to the technician is zero. We've got funding. One of our partners is on the first class was the FPTA. And what's interesting and what's unique about the program is they gave us money, $50,000.
I'm sorry, the FPTA is?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Florida Public Transportation Association. We approached them initially for the scholarship money. They thought it was a great idea to get their technicians trained, and so they gave us money to pay that initial tuition for the 15 students coming through. The agreement we have with Hillsborough Community College is this. Although any community college can teach this program, not many, if any, have access to transit equipment and the knowledge to teach transit systems. And so the agreement we made with them was, hey, we're going to use our facility off your campus to train our guys. We're going to use our instructor who has the knowledge. We're going to use our equipment. For that, you should be paying us a little bit back out of that tuition. And so it's a pretty good arrangement. It's not unique in the state of Florida. The law enforcement does that. I mean, they bring in instructors and they get paid for that. So basically what we do is pay the tuition and then we charge them back for our instructor's time. And so the initial $4,200 that we pay for tuition turns out really to be about $1,300 per student. And so we've been able to almost triple the impact that the scholarship money we get from the Florida Public Transit Association has for us.
Okay. If one other question we have here is, hold on a second. The instructions for example, submitting a question too, I should have said that on your screen. Just click the Q&A, type in your question in the box and submit it. And then we can ask it that way. Okay, how many ASE tests do the technicians take?
They take a total of 8, which is all the tests within the ASE Transit Technician series. And the way we do that is we have tailored our modules to the ASE subject areas. And so although we have 15 modules within the CTT program, they cover those 8 areas that ASE tests on. And so if we give, let's say, preventive maintenance in the spring, then we will have them take the ASE test that spring. And so the ASE testing is geared toward what we're actually teaching, so it's kind of fresh in their mind. And that's the way it works. When they get done with the CTT program, they will have a PSAV certification from the state of Florida through Hillsborough Community College. They will be ASE Master Certified through the ASE testing component, and they will also be eligible for 33 college credit hours for the training we give them towards a 60-year degree in industrial management transit technician. And so, it's a 60 credit hour associate in applied science degree. We're going to give them 33 credit hours, or they'll be eligible for 33 credit hours, which leaves 27 or 9 classes that they have to take through the community college. Now, we're working on arrangements with Hillsborough Community College to make all those online classes. 90% of them are online now. There's 1 or 2 that have to go online. But what it really means is someone can come through our program, let's say from Pensacola, Escambia County. They can go through our program, get the certification for ASE and PSAV, go back to ECAT, and through the online system, finish up that 2-year degree and not have to set foot on the Hillsborough Community College campus. They have to take 2 of the classes online or brick and mortar at Hillsborough Community College for the residency requirement, but the other ones can be taken at any community college that can transfer credits down. So if they're more comfortable with the brick and mortar setting, they can take at least 2 or have to take at least 2 online at Hillsborough Community College, but they could take the other ones, at their leisure at the brick and mortar setting in, Escambia Community College or wherever they're located.
Okay. Thanks, Ed. A couple more questions as we wrap up today. But if you were to advise others seeking to replicate what you and Todd have done, what would you suggest? Where would you suggest they start? Say if they're out of state.
Yeah, if they're out of state, I would really suggest calling me or emailing me, and I can, because we did a lot of legwork on this. It took us a couple of years to put all the pieces together, but I would have to know really what, if their educational system in their state is, similar to us. We're really workforce dominated in the state of Florida. There's 28 something community colleges. We have a PSAV post-secondary adult vocational program strong in place. There's probably over 78 articulation agreements in the state of Florida. And that goes from anywhere from, bakers to horticulturists. And, when we looked at it initially, we said, look, how come we can't get college credit for training that these transit technicians get on the shop floor? Everybody else is getting it. we should be able to get that credit too, because, again, one of the basic goals, and I think if you talk to anybody in the industry, is we want, we don't only want technicians that are technically sound, but we want to give them the skills to be able to move up into supervisory and management positions. So, that was a big thing for us. I think if, to directly answer your question, Phil, if they went to their local workforce innovation board or went to their local community college, they may have something similar. But, we put agreements in place, 3 or 4 different agreements with Hillsborough Community College, a couple with the transit agency that we train at, and it's fairly complex, too much for me to describe here, but I can certainly give all that information to anybody who wants to email or call.
And the last question, this sounds like it might be particularly appealing to returning vets. Has there been interest in
we have pushed that. We put that out there. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of pushing it out there, but interestingly, the returning vets, we're hungry for them, because the advantage to them is not only do they get paid the salary at their transit property, not only are they getting this training free, but they can also use their GI Bill for living expenses. And so right now we're what's called a closed PSAV program, meaning that you have to work at a transit property to get in there because of the OJT component. You have to have buses and a mentor to be able to do that. But we are looking at opening it up. We've had a lot of people call HCC that are not transit employees that want to get into the program. And so we're looking at how we can do that.
Great. Thank you, Ed. And again, our thanks to everybody for attending today. We'll have another workshop coming up in 2 weeks, and you'll receive notice of the next topic. Up on the screen is a very brief evaluation of today's session. If you would take a moment and complete it, maybe even suggest some additional topics that you'd like to hear about, please do so. And with that, I'd like to thank Ed Bart in particular for the presentation today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.